I wish I could say I saw it coming. But the truth is, nothing prepares you for the day your own father looks right through you, until the moment his world flips, and you're the one holding all the cards. Last night, they laughed. Tonight, I'm the punchline. Tomorrow, their whole future depends on the daughter they never respected, and the best part, they have no idea. I hadn't been home in 5 years. Not really. Not since I packed up and left, swearing I wouldn't look back. My name's Madison Bennett. I'm 30, and if you ask my family, I'm the black sheep who threw everything away. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Older, too. The porch light flickered. The welcome mat was just as faded as the day I left. I stood there, hand on the doorknob, heart thumping way too loud for someone who's faced down actual enemies. I could already smell the old floral spray my mom always used, probably to cover up the scent of disappointment. I stepped in, and instantly it was like nothing had changed. Except me. The wall of family photos stared back. My brother Dylan at his graduation, Dylan at his wedding, Dylan with his kids. Not a single picture of me in uniform. Not even the commissioning portrait I mailed 5 years ago. I could hear Mom in the kitchen, clinking pans. Dad's deep voice rumbling, too far away to care. "Madison, that you?" Mom called, not even looking up. "It's me." She didn't hug me. Didn't even come out. Just told me to wash up. Dinner would be ready soon. Dylan and Olivia were on their way, and, oh, would I mind congratulating Dylan on his new promotion? Sure, Mom. Why not? He's running the whole integration team now. Everyone says he's going places. Yeah, I've heard that line since I was 12. I set the table. Old habits. No place cards. But you knew where everyone was supposed to sit. Dylan at the head, Dad next to him, Mom squeezed between. Me somewhere on the fringe, barely there. They showed up right on time, like always. Dylan in some expensive blazer, Olivia carrying a bottle of wine nobody was going to drink. "Hey, Mads," Dylan said, hugging me like a stranger, eyes already searching for Dad's approval. 5 years. That's how long it had been. He blinked. I didn't joke. We just sat down and started eating, pretending everything was fine. The menu never changed. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, the same side salad since forever. Dylan held court, bragging about corporate restructures, bonuses, how his team was handling the military contracts for Pioneer Dynamics. Dad looked ready to burst from pride. "And you, Madison?" Mom asked. "Still bouncing around with the army?" I shrugged. Something like that. Dad didn't even look up. "Still a captain?" That was the last rank he bothered to remember. "Yeah, more or less." Dylan jumped in. "Tough being out in the field all the time, huh? Not much room for strategy, just following orders." He said it like a joke, but nobody laughed. If they only knew what was in the suitcase upstairs. Pressed dress uniform, Eagle insignia, all those medals. I just let them talk. Let them own the room for one last night. Later, alone in my old bedroom, I sat on the edge of my childhood bed, staring at the same trophies and certificates that meant everything before I signed those army papers. I tried to remember the last time someone in this house actually listened to me. I thought about the night I told them about my scholarship. I expected a fight. I didn't expect Dad to look at me like I'd ruined his legacy. "The army's for people who ran out of options," he said. "You were meant for more." More meant MBA, corner office, a seat at his table in Pioneer Dynamics. That spot was always reserved for Dylan. When he stepped right into it, I stopped being the daughter who made her own choices. I became the example of failure. Downstairs, their laughter echoed. Dad's deep, Mom's soft, Dylan's over the top. the sound of a tribe that picked its champion, and it wasn't me. The irony? Dylan's big new project, the one he bragged about at dinner, was under my command now. Not that anyone here knew. Tomorrow I'd walk into that boardroom and everything would change. The next morning, I woke up before dawn, nerves jangling. I laid out my uniform, midnight blue, ribbons shining, hands steady, face cold. It wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about showing up, being seen, speaking the only language they'd respect. I drove to Pioneer Dynamics, sleek glass building, too many people in cheap suits moving way too fast. Parked in the reserved spot, military liaison, DOD authorized. That got some stares. Inside, the security guard barely looked at my badge before snapping to attention. "Good morning, Colonel." It hit me then. I was respected here, even by strangers. I found the executive floor without missing a beat. Dylan was already there, scrolling through his tablet, face a little too smug. Then he saw me. He stared, eyes wide, mouth half open. "Madison, what are you wearing?" I didn't break stride. "Good morning, Mr. Bennett. I'm here for the project review." His jaw dropped, but before he could say anything, Dad showed up with 2 other suits. When he spotted me, he froze. "Madison, what is this? Why are you in uniform?" And then, before any of them could process, Marilyn Carter, CEO herself, rounded the corner. "Colonel Bennett," she beamed, reaching for my hand. "Didn't expect you in person. Everyone, this is Colonel Madison Bennett, our Pentagon liaison for Project Nova. She holds final approval authority." You could hear a pin drop. Dylan's face drained of color. Dad just looked lost. We went into the boardroom. My name was on a placard, right next to Marilyn's. I sat, reviewed my notes, and waited as the team trickled in. Engineers, directors, all introducing themselves, polite, cautious. Not a single one asked me twice once they saw the eagle on my shoulder. Dylan and Dad slunk in last, taking seats at the far end. Marilyn opened the session, then handed it to me. I thanked the team, briefed them on milestones, laid out the requirements, hard, clear, non-negotiable. I could feel every pair of eyes on me, waiting to see what I'd do. Then it was Dylan's turn. He stood, palms sweating, voice shaky. "As systems lead, I believe my team's strategy fits performance targets." He was floundering. I let him finish, then cut in, steady. "Mr. Bennett, could you clarify how your approach addresses the latency concerns outlined in our last Pentagon memo?" He blinked. I can revisit that." "You'll need to. Our benchmarks aren't flexible. Please revise your draft and send it by Thursday close of business." He nodded. "Yes, ma'am." For a second, nobody breathed. And just like that, I owned the room. Meeting ended after noon. Marilyn thanked me, told everyone to provide full access and support. The project's future depended on it. As people filtered out, I caught their looks, not curiosity, but respect. Real, earned respect. Out in the hallway, Dad was waiting. He looked like a man who'd spent his whole life rehearsing the same speech and just realized the script was wrong. "Madison," he said, voice brittle, "we need to talk." I nodded, followed him to his office. Mom was already there, stiff in a visitor's chair. Dylan stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes darting everywhere but at me. My family, my jury. I didn't sit, just stood at ease, hands behind my back. Dad cleared his throat. "You've been a colonel. How long?" 6 months, I said. "And you didn't tell us?" "I did," I said. "You never listened. I sent invites, emails, articles, left voicemails. No one replied." He tried to speak, but Mom cut in, voice small. "Colonel, it sounded important, but we didn't know what it meant. You should have explained." Why? I said, finally letting the hurt out. Every time I called, all you asked about was Dylan's work, your numbers, your quarterly bonuses. You never asked about me unless it was to suggest I quit and come home. Dylan said, "We thought you were stuck, always moving, never going anywhere." He looked away. "Last night, I didn't know you were doing this. I never asked." "No," I said, "you didn't." Mom tried to reach for me, but I stayed where I was. Dad's voice dropped, softer than I'd ever heard. "What do you want? Public credit? An apology?" I shook my head. "I want what I've always deserved. Respect. For my work. For my choices. For not failing, just because I didn't follow your path." For the first time, Dylan spoke softly. "You were fair today. You didn't humiliate me. You did your job. And you were commanding. I've never seen that before." I almost laughed, bitter and proud at the same time. "Maybe you never looked." Dad hesitated, then stuck out his hand, not for show, but the way I'd seen 1,000 times in the army. "Colonel Bennett," he said, "I owe you an apology. I underestimated you, completely." I gripped his hand. No anger left, just a strange sense of closure. In that moment, I knew. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. My worth was never about their expectations. So, was it enough?